Human Operative poses as alien noble. Shadow Princess, Nyara, uncovers his secret. The opulent chamber of the Viridian Empress's palace glimmered with shifting jade light, translucent pillars scattering emerald hues across the assembled dignitaries. Alex, concealed under the persona of Baron Kestrel, calmed his racing pulse. His adaptive holoband, disguised as a ring, maintained the illusion, recasting his human features into those of a Viridian aristocrat. Months of covert training had led him to this critical juncture. Bowing before Empress Lyra, he recited the carefully memorized pledges of fealty from his invented province, masking his anxiety beneath practiced poise. I pledge my loyalty, my arm, and my counsel to the glory of the Viridian Empire, from the riverlands of Sorinth to the silent peaks of Deva. May my voice strengthen your will, Empress, as the emerald tide rises. His words echoed through the marble hall, rippling through the assembly of high-collared courtiers and whispering ministers. Empress Lyra, seated atop a throne of living crystal, regarded him with eyes like polished malachite, cold, brilliant, unreadable. A new baron, from a province I have only read of in ancient records, she mused, her voice melodic but edged with warning. Your arrival is timely. The tide does indeed rise, and soon the borders will surge outward. Tell me, Baron Kestrel, are your people prepared for what is to come? Alex's pulse hammered at his temples, but he summoned a faint smile. They are, Your Radiance. We have long awaited the chance to serve you directly. The old ways have forged our resolve. Her lips curved in a smile that never reached her eyes. Let us hope your resolve is strong enough. The world beyond is less forgiving than Sorinth's quiet valleys. A susurrus passed through the court as the Empress's words settled. Alex dipped his head, careful not to linger in his deference. Every eye in the room felt like a blade at his back. Then, from the far side of the dais, Princess Nyara appeared. Her arrival was silent, almost spectral. An emerald apparition with a mane of wild crimson hair, her golden, slanted eyes sweeping over the crowd. Her presence demanded attention. Conversations faltered as she descended the dais steps, her movement both graceful and predatory. She circled Alex, her gaze fixed and unblinking, her reputation preceding her. A trusted shadow, the Empress's secret blade, a savant at uncovering lies. She stopped a mere breath away, her voice silk over steel. Baron Kestrel, you hail from Sorinth, yet your dialect is unusual. Alex met her eyes, careful to project both confidence and humility. My tutors were from the southern marches, Princess. My mother believed in broadening my horizons. She tilted her head, a feline glint in her eyes. A wise woman. Tell me, how fares the old border with the Alther clans? Rumors speak of unrest. The Alther stir as they always have, testing, probing. We trade as much in words as in wares. My people have learned caution. She pressed on, her questions coming swift and precise. And the festival of Shara's Veil. How did your province honor it this past cycle? Alex recalled his training, the countless hours spent poring over Viridian customs. We wove the river flowers into the eaves and lit lanterns for our ancestors. The waters glowed for 3 nights, as tradition demands. Nyara's gaze flickered, searching for cracks. Not all follow the old rites so faithfully. We do, Alex said quietly, meeting her gaze. Sorinth endures by remembering. A long, silent beat stretched between them, tension thick as resin. Nyara's lips quirked in the barest hint of a smile before she stepped back, her scrutiny never easing. The ceremonial proceedings faded, giving way to a sumptuous reception. Servants in iridescent livery glided through the hall, bearing platters of jeweled fruit and crystal goblets fizzing with starlit nectar. Alex moved through the throng, every conversation a subtle duel, every gesture fraught with implication. Nyara found him near a fountain veined with silver light. She extended a glass, her expression inscrutable. "You seem adrift, Baron. Our court can be overwhelming." He accepted the drink, the rim cool against his fingertips. "I'm told it is the soul of the Empire." "I see now why that is." She led him away from the main crowd, down a side corridor shadowed by hanging vines. "You mentioned the mercenary guilds in your speech. I have an interest in their dealings. Tell me, which house commands their loyalty this season?" Alex chose his words with care. "The Jade Banner has grown dominant. Their captain has roots in the southern provinces, loyal to the Empress, though some say his purse is heavier than his heart." Nyara studied him, her eyes narrowed. And if a rival offered more coin? He would listen, but only so far. Reputation is currency, and betrayal comes at a price. She leaned closer, her voice dropping to a conspiratorial whisper. "You're not like the others, Baron. I can sense it. I wonder why." Alex managed a wry smile. "Perhaps I'm simply new to these games." "Perhaps," she murmured, her golden gaze searching his face as though reading lines written in invisible ink. As the night wore on and the music dwindled, Alex retreated to the guest wing assigned to him. But he was not alone. Nyara, silent as a wraith, moved through hidden corridors behind shifting walls. She watched from the shadows as he entered his chamber, eyes narrowed in calculation. Inside, Alex waited until the corridor was quiet before disabling the holoband. His human features shimmered into view, his dark hair and pale skin a stark contrast to the Viridian disguise. He exhaled, tension rolling off his shoulders as he activated the secure terminal, fingers flying across the controls to transmit encrypted notes to Earth's command. Nyara's hand hovered at the alarm rune. One word, and the whole palace would descend upon him. But she watched, transfixed as he worked, her curiosity warring with duty. There was something in the way he moved, a fragility beneath the deception that called to her. She slipped away before dawn, the secret burning between them. At the next council session, Nyara's gaze found Alex across the chamber. Her questions were sharper, her tone edged with suspicion, but her words shielded him from the more pointed inquiries of the court. Their exchanges crackled, each encounter a contest of wit and will, the peril between them mingling with a magnetic, inexplicable attraction that neither could deny. Nyara confronted Alex in a secluded courtyard, her prehensile tail coiling around his wrist. "You're not one of us," she stated, her voice a velvet threat in the moonlit hush. The glow of phosphorescent blossoms cast shifting patterns on her emerald skin, her golden eyes luminous and intent. Alex's breath caught. He felt the cool pressure of her tail, the warning in her gaze. But she made no move to harm him. Instead, she drew closer, close enough that he could see the faint pulse beneath her jaw. Her expression was unreadable, but her posture spoke not of violence, but of decision. "Your secret's for my silence," Nyara said, each word deliberate, heavy with risk. "I have no wish to see you exposed. Not yet. But I need answers, and you need time." He weighed her offer, searching her eyes for duplicity and finding only fierce curiosity. "A bargain, then," he said quietly. "Questions for questions. Truth for truth." She smiled, sharp and unexpected. "Agreed." Their first clandestine meetings, held in shadowed alcoves and abandoned galleries, bristled with tension. Nyara interrogated him with the precision of a master spy, demanding details of his origins, his methods, his loyalties. Alex deflected where he could, but the rules of their bargain demanded honesty, and he found himself revealing more than he intended. One night, beneath the arches of a disused aqueduct, Nyara pressed him. "Why did you come here truly? Earth's agents rarely risk so much without cause. He hesitated, feeling the weight of her scrutiny. I came because your Empress intends war. My people needed someone inside to learn how far she'll go. She considered this, her tail flicking against the flagstones. And you volunteered? Alex nodded. I was suitable, adaptable. Disposable? She asked, her tone unreadable. He let the question hang in the cool air, then shook his head. No one is ever truly disposable, not if they choose not to be. That answer seemed to please her. Over the following weeks, their conversation stretched beyond the boundaries of interrogation. Nyara was fascinated by his human perspective on freedom, on loyalty and choice. She questioned him about Earth's fractured politics, about the concept of democracy, about the burden and gift of self-determination. On Viridia, she confided one evening, loyalty is bred, not chosen. We are shaped by duty. Yet sometimes I wonder if another way is possible. He smiled, surprised at her candor. On Earth, duty is often a chain we choose to wear, but we can take it off if we dare. Nyara's lips curled in a half-smile, her eyes searching his. And you? Would you cast off your chains, Alex? He looked at her, truly looked, and saw not just the Empress's shadow but a woman balancing on the edge of faith and doubt. I'm trying to remember how. As the nights passed, their alliance deepened. Small gestures replaced threats, an offered hand, a warning whispered in time to avert disaster. Alex learned to read Nyara's moods by the flick of her tail or the angle of her head. She, in turn, watched him as if memorizing every subtle shift of expression. Then, the night of the traitor's fall arrived. Alex had slipped through the palace's labyrinthine halls, following a hunch that had gnawed at him since dusk. He reached a shadowed gallery in time to see Nyara moving with predatory grace, her emerald-tipped fingers brushing the goblet of a foppish courtier. The man raised it to his lips, unaware. Moments later, he staggered, his eyes wide with betrayal, before collapsing without a sound. Nyara watched, expressionless, as the body was quietly removed by her agents. Alex waited until they were alone, then stepped from the shadows, heart hammering. Was that necessary? Nyara did not startle. She regarded him, her gaze sharp but unrepentant. He would have sold your name to the Empress by sunrise. He was a traitor to both of us. The admission stunned him. You protected me. She moved closer until he could feel the heat of her body. Her hand rose, tracing his cheek with the lightest touch, her fingers leaving a trail of cold fire on his skin. Are you frightened, human? She murmured, her lips so near his ear that he shivered. He met her gaze, steady and unflinching. No, just careful. Nyara laughed, a low musical sound that vibrated between them. Good. Fear is useful, but trust is better. Something shifted in the air, the balance between them tilting. The tension that had once been adversarial now simmered with something else. Desire, respect, the beginnings of something neither of them dared name. After that night, secrecy bound them closer. They moved through the palace like twin shadows, passing coded messages and passing glances, meeting under the cover of darkness to exchange intelligence and questions that no longer felt like traps. Trust blossomed between them, fragile and fierce. One rain-drenched evening, hidden beneath the drooping boughs of a silver-leafed tree, Alex spoke of his training. Months of grueling immersion in Viridian language and custom, the ache of erasing himself to become someone else. Nyara listened, her expression softening as he spoke of isolation, of the weight of two worlds on his shoulders. I was never meant to be more than a shadow, he confessed. But sometimes I think I lost myself in the role. Nyara touched his hand, her grip warm and grounding. You have not lost yourself. I see you, even when you hide. In return, she revealed pieces of her own past, the endless drills, the rituals that had shaped her into the Empress's silent weapon. I was chosen before I could speak. My mother told me I was born with the Empress's mark, a birthright and a sentence. I did not choose this path, but I walk it all the same. Alex's fingers entwined with hers, a silent acknowledgement of the burdens they carried. Maybe we can choose something different, together. She looked at him, and for the first time, her armor slipped. Perhaps, she whispered. As the nights grew shorter and the threat of war loomed ever closer, they shared their doubts about the Empress's vision, about the morality of conquest, about their own complicity. In these stolen moments, their alliance transformed from necessity to genuine connection. Nyara's trust manifested in unexpected ways. She shielded him from the palace's prying eyes, redirecting suspicion, planting false trails. She taught him Viridian idioms that no outsider could ever know, making his disguise nearly flawless. And Alex, in turn, taught her the value of questioning orders, of searching for her own truth amid the Empire's endless demands. One night, as a storm battered the palace walls, Alex found Nyara waiting in his chamber, her eyes luminous in the half-light. She reached for him, her touch gentle, her voice softer than he had ever heard it. Alex, she said, using his real name for the first time. It was a quiet invocation, a confession and a promise. He looked at her, and in that moment the barriers between them fell away. They stood together, not as spy and enforcer, but as two souls navigating the uncertain path between war and peace, suspicion and trust, fear and the fragile hope of something more. Alex's infiltration of the Forbidden Archives uncovered a shocking revelation. A third faction, the Zephyrite, had been manipulating both Earth and Viridia toward war. He crouched in the shadowed alcove, holographic files flickering across his retinal display, diplomatic communiques intercepted, subtle directives rewritten, propaganda seeded in both empires. The Zephyrite symbol, a spiral of wind and glass, marked each invisible thread. Every scrap of evidence twisted his stomach tighter. Neither Earth nor Viridia had truly wanted war. Both had been puppets, their strings expertly pulled. The hush of the archives was broken by a soft footfall. Alex spun, expecting a trap, but found Nyara emerging from the stacks, her expression grave but unhurried. She moved with purpose, a folder clasped in her emerald fingers, her golden eyes fixed on him. "I wondered how long it would take you to find this," she said, her tone devoid of accusation. She tossed her own file onto the terminal beside him. "I have been following the same trail." Alex stared at her, hope warring with suspicion. "You knew?" "Not everything." Her tail coiled around her waist, a sign of agitation. "But enough to suspect we are both being played. Look." She swept her hand over the files, cross-referencing her data with his. The overlapping patterns became undeniable. Zephyrite operatives embedded on both sides, whispers igniting old grudges, peace talks sabotaged with surgical precision. "Every escalation," Alex murmured, tracing the timeline. "Every false flag. It was all staged. Nyara, this invasion is a reaction to Zephyrite provocations," she finished for him, her voice trembling with restrained anger. "We have both been deceived. My Empress, your world leaders, all of us." The truth left them raw and exposed. For a moment, silence reigned, broken only by the faint hum of security drones somewhere overhead. A sudden klaxon shattered the stillness. Red sigils flared along the archive walls, the palace's alarm, sharp and urgent. Nyara's eyes widened and she reached for Alex's hand. "Come. We have to move, now." He followed her through a maze of echoing corridors, her steps swift and sure. They ducked through a maintenance shaft, barely evading a pair of guards whose faces flickered with uncertainty at the breach. Nyara's hand never left his, her grip both anchor and promise. They emerged breathless in a storage vault, the sounds of pursuit growing distant. Alex glanced at her. "Why are you helping me?" She didn't hesitate. "Because the truth matters more than orders, and because I trust you, Alex." He searched her face, seeing not the Empress's enforcer, but his ally. Perhaps more. "Then we do this together. Expose the Zephyrites. Stop the war." Their partnership, once born of necessity, now rested on mutual trust and a shared mission. There was no room for hesitation as they slipped through the palace's underbelly, clutching the stolen data. That night, beneath the glowing blooms of the palace's east garden, they pieced together the evidence. Pearlescent flowers radiated gentle light, illuminating the coded files and maps arrayed before them on a smooth stone bench. Alex decrypted intercepted transmissions while Nyara annotated troop movements, her tail flicking in concentration. "They infiltrated the Earth's diplomatic corps last cycle," Alex said, voice low. "This operative, see the signature? They staged the border incident at Kestrel's gate." Nyara nodded grimly. "And here, a Zephyrite agent embedded in my mother's advisory council, feeding paranoia." The Empress was right to suspect betrayal, but she looked in the wrong direction. As they worked, frustration and awe mingled in their voices. The scale of the conspiracy dwarfed anything Alex had imagined. The Zephyrites had played gods with two worlds, sowing chaos for a purpose neither of them could fully decipher. Suddenly, the hush of the garden was punctuated by the distant clatter of armored boots. A patrol, sweeping the grounds in response to the earlier breach. Nyara's eyes flashed. "Hide the files," she whispered, shoving data slates into Alex's jacket. She glanced around, then pressed him back against a marble column cloaked in flowering vines. Their bodies pressed together, Nyara's breath warm against his skin. Footsteps drew nearer. Voices, sharp, suspicious, echoed between the pillars. Nyara tilted her head, lips near his ear. "Kiss me," she murmured, her voice trembling between urgency and something deeper. "For the guards." There was no time for hesitation. Alex cupped her cheek, pulling her close. Their lips met, soft, electric, charged with all the tension that had simmered between them. Nyara melted into him, her arms winding around his neck, her tail anchoring them together. The patrol emerged, torches flaring, but paused at the sight. One guard scoffed, muttering about young lovers as the pair slipped away, uninterested. The danger passed, but neither Alex nor Nyara pulled away. The kiss deepened, urgency transforming into longing, the world narrowing to the space between them. When they finally parted, the air was thick with unspoken promises. Nyara's hand lingered at his jaw, thumb tracing the line of his cheek. Her eyes glowed brighter than the blooms overhead. "Your mask is slipping," she breathed, watching as the hollow band faltered, his human features flickering in the half-light. He managed a lopsided smile, unable to hide the vulnerability in his voice. "You do that to me." She laughed softly, the sound a balm against the chaos surrounding them. "Perhaps that is dangerous." "Or necessary," Alex replied, threading his fingers through hers. "We cannot do this alone." They sat together in the fragrant shadows, plotting their next move. The Zephyrite vessel, cloaked and hidden within the city's orbital port, would be their target. If they could infiltrate it, secure proof of the conspiracy, transmit it to both empires, they might yet avert catastrophe. Nyara leaned against him, her tail coiling around his wrist, possessive and protective. "The Zephyrites are cunning. Their ship will be watched, and any misstep—" "Then we do not misstep," Alex interrupted, confidence threading his words. We go together, and we watch each other's backs, just like tonight. She looked at him, something fierce and vulnerable mingling in her gaze. Alex, I have never trusted anyone like this. If we fail, he squeezed her hand, then we fail together. But we will not fail. Their plan crystallized between them. Infiltrate the Zephyrite vessel, secure irrefutable proof, and reveal the truth to both Earth and Viridia before the final order to invade was given. The task was impossible, but so was the bond that had formed in the crucible of conspiracy and desire. As the garden lights flickered in the breeze, Nyara pressed her forehead to his, her breath steady, her resolve unwavering. Whatever tomorrow brought, betrayal, discovery, war, they would face it side by side. Their mission was clear. Their hearts, at last, were united. The War Council met as invasion plans neared completion. The Grand Strategy Chamber vibrated with tension, commanders and ministers circling the luminous table, its surface shifting to display real-time movements of fleets and armies. Empress Lyra presided from her crystal throne, eyes sharp and unreadable, while the Zephyrite envoy stood at her side, features schooled into serene confidence. Nyara, clad in midnight green armor, stepped forward and projected her voice above the murmurs. Before final orders are issued, I propose a review of Zephyrite diplomatic channels. Recent intelligence suggests a risk of sabotage within our own communications. With your permission, Empress, I will lead the audit personally. A ripple of surprise crossed the room. The Zephyrite envoy stiffened, jade robe fluttering as he replied, "Such a review is unnecessary. Our partnership with Viridia has always been founded on trust and transparency." Nyara's gaze was cool, unwavering. "Then you have nothing to fear from scrutiny." For a heartbeat, the air sizzled with silent challenge. Empress Lyra's lips curved in the faintest of smiles. "Proceed, Princess. In times such as these, vigilance is our shield." As Nyara bowed, she caught Alex's eye, an unspoken signal that the window for their infiltration was opening. Every second would count. As the council adjourned, the chamber's tension lingered, thick as storm clouds. Alex made his way through the marble corridors, senses sharpened, when a figure stepped into his path. Koran, tall, broad-shouldered, his uniform immaculate, eyes like shards of obsidian, blocked Alex with a silent, predatory smile. "You," Koran said, voice smooth as poison. "Your accent slips, sometimes. Too precise, too careful. And your attachment to the princess? Unusual for a minor baron, is it not?" Alex's pulse quickened, but he met Koran's gaze. "Careful is my nature, and my loyalty to the princess is nothing less than any officer's duty." Koran took a measured step closer, menace in every line of his stance. "Is that so? Or is there more you conceal, Baron?" Before the confrontation could spiral, Nyara appeared, authority radiating from every motion. "Koran, we have no time for petty suspicions. I require Baron Kestrel's assistance for the audit." "Dismissed." Koran's lips curled into a sneer, but he inclined his head and stalked away, eyes promising trouble. Alex exhaled as Nyara drew him aside. "He's getting close," he murmured. She nodded, voice low and urgent. "Too close. We are almost out of time. The invasion begins at first light. By then, the Zephyrites must be exposed." Her fingers brushed his as she added, "Tonight, we move." With the clock ticking, Nyara led Alex through concealed passages into the depths of the palace, where her most trusted allies waited, a clandestine circle forged in the shadows of the Empress's rule. Melis, the strategist, bent over a hollow map, her silver hair tied in a severe knot. "The Zephyrite ship is shielded. Security protocols rotate every hour. Breaching it will require perfect timing." Jax, the former fleet captain, checked a battered wrist console, his eyes steely with old regrets. If we can draw the palace guard to the south hangar, you'll have 6 minutes before backup cycles. Syrah, the exobiologist, handed Alex a vial of shimmering fluid. Antitoxin, the Zephyrite favor airborne neurotoxins for ship defense. Nyara introduced Alex with a gravity that stilled the room. He is not Baron Kestrel. He is Alex Rains, human, and my partner in this mission. An uneasy silence followed. Jax's jaw tightened. You risk much, Princess. Alex removed his holoband, letting his features shift. I came here to prevent war, not to start one. The Zephyrite have played both our worlds. We have proof. Enough to stop this, if we act together. Milas studied him, weighing hope against cynicism. If you betray us, Nyara's tail lashed the floor, sharp and certain. He won't. We move as one. One by one, the inner circle nodded, wary but resolved. The plan took shape. Nyara and Alex would infiltrate the Zephyrite vessel, hacking the core systems to extract undeniable evidence. Melis, Jax, and Syrah would orchestrate a diversion, triggering alarms, sabotaging sensors, and rallying trusted resistance cells throughout the palace. As the final details fell into place, Alex found himself alone with Nyara in her private sanctuary, a chamber ringed with living crystal and shadows. She leaned against the wall, arms folded, watching him with a gaze that saw past every layer of disguise. Why do you trust me, Alex? She asked, her voice softer now, stripped of all command. You could have disappeared with the data. Why stay when the risk is so high? He hesitated, searching for words that matched the gravity of this moment. At first, it was duty. Then it became more. You. He broke off, running a hand through his hair. You showed me who I could be, not just what I was sent to do. I care about you, Nyara. That's the truth. She regarded him for a long moment, as if weighing his soul. Then she stepped close, her prehensile tail winding gently around his hand, anchoring him. Good. I've never risked so much for anyone before. He cupped her face in his hands, brushing his thumb along the line of her jaw. We have one chance to make this right. I won't let you fall. Not for me, not for anyone. Nyara's smile was fleeting and fierce. You may have to save yourself too. I am not in the habit of rescue. He grinned. I'll keep that in mind. They stood in silence, the nearness between them a promise forged in danger and trust. Every heartbeat brought the dawn closer, and with it, a war only they could hope to stop. Outside, the palace buzzed with frantic preparation, weapons mustered, ships readied, orders whispered through shadowed halls. Inside their sanctuary, Alex and Nyara let the world fall away for a breath, drawing strength from each other, knowing the next hours would decide the fate of two worlds and the future they now dared to want together. During a state ceremony, a new security protocol threatened to unmask Alex through biometric scans. The palace was a theater of color and formality, dignitaries in ceremonial armor, the Empress radiant beneath a cascade of emerald light, and every surface gleaming with the promise and peril of impending war. Alex, once more cloaked in the persona of Baron Kestrel, moved with careful grace through the crowd, his holoband humming softly at his wrist. Suddenly, a ripple of unease swept the hall. A voice intoned over the comms. By order of the Empress, all guests will undergo a biometric verification. Panels slid open along the grand staircase, revealing scanning drones floating on silent thrusters, their lenses aglow with violet. Alex's blood ran cold. His cover, so painstakingly maintained, was about to be tested against the one thing he could not fake: his biology. He locked eyes with Nyara across the room. Her expression was calm, But the tension in her jaw told another story. She flicked her tail, a subtle signal. Trust me. As the line moved forward, Alex's mind raced for options, but the system was foolproof. There was no time, no escape route, only the inexorable approach of the drones. At the last moment, Nyara slipped from her place at the Empress's side and intercepted a technician, murmuring a command. When the woman resisted, Nyara pressed a hidden blade to her ribs. The technician's face paled. She complied, slipping Nyara a slender override key. With a fluid, practiced motion, Nyara vanished into a maintenance corridor. She worked with swift, desperate precision at a control panel, her fingers moving in a blur of code and nerves. In the main hall, the drones paused, lights flickering. A faint shudder rippled through the system, Nyara's sabotage. The scans glitched, momentarily blinded, and Alex passed through undetected. A guard noticed the malfunction. "Security breach!" he barked, and suspicion immediately fell on Nyara, whose absence was noted by several sharp-eyed courtiers. Within moments, she reemerged, her demeanor cool but her pulse racing. Eyes followed her, whispers curling through the hall. But she had bought them time. Precious, dangerous time. After the ceremony, Nyara pulled Alex into a hidden alcove behind a tapestry of woven silver. Her breath trembled with adrenaline, her skin slick with sweat. "You were almost exposed," she whispered, pressing the override key into his palm. "This will not buy us long. They will come for me next." Alex's hands shook as he tucked away the key. "You risked everything." She looked at him, defiant and vulnerable. "I would risk more if I had to." They had no time to dwell on fear. In the hush of the alcove, surrounded by the muffled thrum of the palace, they assembled the final evidence. Data slates glowed with damning records, intercepted Zephyrite transmissions, blueprints for sabotage, secret communiques between Zephyrite agents embedded on Earth and Viridia. The picture was horrifyingly clear, manipulation on a scale that dwarfed even their worst suspicions. "They wanted war," Alex said, voice raw. "Manufactured every spark, every incident. If Earth and Viridia destroy each other, the Zephyrite sweep in and rule the ashes." Nyara nodded, tracing lines of code on the slate. "And now, with the Empress ready to launch the invasion, they will ignite the final fuse." He looked at her, the weight of the dilemma pressing on his chest. "If we go public with this, the Empress will see it as treason. Your name, your life." Nyara's eyes burned with fierce conviction. "And if we stay silent, millions die. I would rather be branded a traitor than live with that blood on my hands." Their hands brushed as they worked, finding solace in shared purpose. "We'll do it together," Alex murmured. "I won't let you face this alone." A bitter laugh escaped her. "You are as stubborn as you are brave." He squeezed her hand, voice low. "You taught me to be." Outside, the palace braced for war. Hushed orders flowed through the corridors, squads of soldiers assembled in gleaming formation, and the air buzzed with the anticipation of chaos. Every minute, the risk grew. Corrin's suspicion, the Zephyrite envoy's watchful eyes, the Empress's relentless demand for loyalty. But in the eye of the storm, Alex and Nyara found a rare, stolen quiet. That night, in a chamber veiled by shadow and moonlight, the world's violence seemed far away. Nyara's armor fell away piece by piece until she stood before him, unmasked, unguarded, her emerald skin luminous in the soft glow. Alex reached for her, his touch reverent, their connection threaded with urgency and tenderness. She traced the line of his jaw, her golden eyes shining. "I have never been afraid to die," she whispered. "But I am afraid to lose this, to lose you." He gathered her close, his lips brushing her forehead, her cheek, her mouth. "We have tonight," he promised, voice trembling with hope and longing. "Whatever comes, we have this." They came together with the intensity of those who know each moment might be the last. Their passion was an act of defiance, a promise spoken in skin and breath and whispered vows. Each caress, each gasp, each word was a rebellion against the fate others had written for them. After, they lay tangled in the quiet, fingers entwined. The world outside pressed closer, war drums echoing, danger mounting, but for a moment, time bent around them, holding them in fragile peace. Nyara's tail coiled protectively around Alex's waist. "When the truth comes out, they will call us traitors." He kissed her knuckles, steady and unyielding. "Let them. We'll be traitors together. But we'll save them, even if they never understand." She smiled, fierce and tender. "I never believed in hope before you." He brushed the hair from her eyes, his own filled with the promise of all they risked for each other. "Then let's give them something to believe in." Their love, forged in secrecy and danger, became both an act of defiance and a beacon of hope. As dawn threatened the horizon, Alex and Nyara held each other, bracing for the day that would decide not just the fate of two worlds, but the meaning of everything they had come to be. At the final assembly, with war about to be declared, Alex made his stand. The grand hall thrummed with tension. Hundreds of Viridian dignitaries encircling the dais, their emerald robes shimmering beneath the crystalline lights. The Empress sat enthroned, cold and radiant, her eyes fixed on the Zephyrite envoy who waited beside her, mask inscrutable. Everywhere, officers stood at attention, weapons holstered but ready. Alex felt the weight of 1,000 eyes. His disguise, Baron Kestrel's familiar face, fluttered at his command, and he stepped forward, heart pounding, every lesson in courage and duplicity pulsing in his blood. He heard Nyara's voice in his memory, "Now or never." He drew a breath, reached for the hollow band at his wrist, and deactivated it. The illusion rippled away. His features shifted, skin paling, hair darkening, eyes suddenly and unmistakably human. Gasps cracked through the chamber like thunder. Accusations and shouts overlapped. "An Earth spy here? Blasphemy. Guards!" Alex raised his voice above the storm. "I am Alex Rains. I stand before you not as a threat, but as a witness, to a truth that could save both our worlds." Guards surged forward, weapons drawn, but Nyara moved quicker. She leapt onto the dais, positioning herself at Alex's side, defiance burning in her golden eyes. The Empress rose, voice ablade. "Nyara, what is the meaning of this betrayal?" Nyara did not flinch. "It is not betrayal to expose a greater enemy." She held a data slate aloft, her words carrying across the hall. "The Zephyrites have played us all, manipulating Viridia and Earth toward war. We have proof." The Zephyrite envoy hissed, stepping back as Nyara activated the slate. The chamber's hollow projectors flickered, casting blue-white schematics and intercepted transmissions high above the assembly. The evidence spun across the ceiling. False orders, Zephyrite insignia embedded in diplomatic seals, messages orchestrating conflict on both sides. As the audience stared in stunned silence, Alex's voice rang out. "This data has already been transmitted to Earth's authorities and to trusted Viridian commanders. The war you are about to start is not of your own making. You are being used. If you value your world, if you value honor, listen now." A commotion at the doors, more guards flooding in, blades and rifles raised. Koran, eyes wild with betrayal, shouted, "Seize them! For the Empress!" In a breath, chaos reigned. Guards charged. Alex and Nyara spun together, fighting as one. He, with fluid, desperate grace, Shah, a blur of emerald and flame. Nyara dropped 2 attackers with a flick of her tail and a jolt of toxin. Alex disarmed another, using the butt of a fallen rifle to sweep his legs. Back to back, they moved through the melee, every motion in perfect wordless harmony. Left! Nyara called, ducking beneath a blade as Alex blocked a stun bolt with an upturned shield. He kicked the shield forward, knocking a guard aside, and grabbed Nyara's hand. She met his eyes, breathless, fierce. This way, through the passage. They dove behind a collapsing screen, slipping into a concealed corridor hidden by ancient tapestries. The thunder of pursuit echoed behind them as they raced through twisting tunnels, Nyara leading by memory and instinct. The sounds of battle faded, replaced by the distant rising clamor of rebellion. Because in the wake of their broadcast, everything had changed. Across the palace, commanders loyal to truth began to question the orders in their hands. On Earth, the intercepted feed blazed across news nets, sparking frantic calls to halt the invasion. Viridian resistance fighters rallied, emboldened by the revelation, turning on Zephyrite agents hidden among them. No longer pawns, the people demanded answers. In the war room, the Empress's voice was thunder and heartbreak. Find them! End this heresy! But the tide had turned. The seeds of an alliance between human and Viridian, spy and shadow, lovers, had been sown. Alex and Nyara burst into the outer gardens, chased by only the sound of night wind and distant alarms. Above, the sky burned with the first rays of dawn, painting the domes and spires with hope. Alex stopped, pulling Nyara into the shelter of an archway. Their hands were slick with sweat, hearts racing, but as they met each other's gaze, a new certainty settled between them. We did it, he whispered, awe and relief warring in his voice. Nyara nodded, her breath shaking. We did. But the fight is not over. There will be retaliation. By the Empress, by those who cannot accept the truth. He pressed his forehead to hers, grounding them both. Let them come. We face them together. A distant explosion rocked the horizon, rebels clashing with palace guards, Zephyrite saboteurs fleeing for their lives. All around, the world they had known was ending, and something new, fragile and uncertain, was being born. Nyara squeezed his hand, her tail curling around his wrist in silent promise. They will look to us now, to lead, to heal. He smiled, wonder shining in his eyes. Then let's show them a different future, one where hope is stronger than fear. As they slipped away into the night, hands entwined, Alex and Nyara knew they had changed the fate of 2 worlds. Their love, once forbidden, now stood as a symbol of hope, a promise that even in the darkest hour, trust and connection could bridge the stars. Together, they pledged to lead the new alliance, fighting for peace and a future neither had dared to dream, defending not just their own peoples, but the fragile hope of peace for all. That's the end of the story. Please do not forget to subscribe to our channel, like the video, and write in the comments what you liked most about this story. Our team will be very grateful to you. You can find even more fascinating stories on our channel. See you in the next video!